The Lindner Family Tennis Center fell silent. Not the silence of anticipation, not the silence of respect, the silence of disbelief. Alex Eala had just done the unthinkable. She had erased a heartbreak that had haunted her for 2 years. She had taken the court against Elena-Gabriela Ruse, the woman who had crushed her Grand Slam dreams in the final qualifying round of the 2024 U.S. Open, and she had demolished her. 6-1, 3-0. 9 games in a row. A clinic, a statement, a reckoning. But the story doesn't end there. Because what happened next, the moment the match officially ended, was something nobody saw coming. Something that stunned the thousands of Filipino fans who had packed the stands. Something that left the tennis world speechless. Ruse was in pain. Her left ankle had given out. She had called for a medical timeout, had her foot retaped, tried to continue. And then the lightning came, forcing a suspension. Hours passed. The storm cleared. The conditions were safe. But when officials announced that play could resume, Ruse made a decision that shocked everyone. The match was over. Eala had her revenge. Ruse had her injury. And the crowd erupted. But not in the way you might expect. Because in that moment, when the cameras zoomed in on the Romanian's face, fans saw something they never anticipated. Not bitterness, not anger, not frustration, but something far more human. Ruse's reaction stunned everyone. Welcome to the story of a champion's revenge, an opponent's unexpected humanity, and a moment that reminded the world that even in the heat of competition, respect can prevail. August 22nd, 2024. Flushing Meadows, New York. The U.S. Open qualifying rounds. A 19-year-old Alexandra Eala stepped onto the court with a dream in her heart and a nation on her shoulders. She was just 1 win away from her first main draw appearance in a Grand Slam. Standing across the net was Elena-Gabriela Ruse, a 26-year-old Romanian who had been on the tour long enough to know how to handle young, hungry opponents. The first set went Eala's way, 6-3. The Filipina was playing with the confidence of someone who believed she belonged. The dream was within reach. Then the wheels came off. Ruse adjusted her game. She attacked Eala's serve, exploited the teenager's inexperience, and flipped the match on its head. The second set was a demolition, 6-1. The third was a battle of wills, but Ruse emerged victorious, 6-4. The loss was devastating. Eala had come so close, only to have her dream snatched away at the final hurdle. It was the third time that year that the teenage Eala had fallen in the final round of Grand Slam qualifying. She walked off the court with tears in her eyes, the weight of disappointment heavy on her shoulders. I remember that match vividly, Eala would later reflect. I was so close. I could taste it, and then it was gone. But that defeat did not break her. It forged her. In the 2 years that followed, Eala transformed herself. She worked tirelessly on her serve, her ground strokes, her mental fortitude. She climbed the rankings slowly but surely, proving herself against the best players in the world. She reached the 4th round at Wimbledon, stunning defending champion IGA, Swiatek, along the way. She captured her first WTA Tour singles title at the Mubadala DC Open in Washington, D.C., defeating a murderer's row of opponents that included Zheng Qinwen, Leylah Fernandez, Naomi Osaka, Alina Svitolina, and world number 3 Jessica Pegula. By August 2026, Eala had climbed to a career-high world number 20. She had won 8 of her past 9 matches. She was no longer the teenager who had been denied at the U.S. Open qualifiers. She was a champion, and now, fate had delivered her the perfect opportunity for payback. Ruse had advanced to the 2nd round of the Cincinnati Open after demolishing Magda Linette in straight sets. The Romanian had shown she was in form, wasting little time against Linette and taking control from the opening game. The stage was set for a rematch. Eala had been waiting for this moment for 2 years, and she was not going to let it slip away. The 2026 season had been defined by one word for Alex Eala: redemption. After her loss to Ruse at the 2024 U.S. Open qualifiers, Eala had embarked on what fans and media alike dubbed her revenge tour. She had faced opponents who had previously beaten her, and she had defeated every single one of them. First, it was Mexico's Renata Zarazua, then Australia's Maya Joint, Then Poland's Iga Swiatek, a stunning victory at Wimbledon that announced Eala's arrival on the biggest stage. Then China's Zheng Qinwen, a comeback victory in the first round of the Washington Open. Then Canada's Leylah Fernandez, a win over the defending champion. Then US ace Jessica Pegula in the Washington Open final, a 4-6, 6-4, 6-0 triumph that left the tennis world stunned. Each victory was a statement. Each win was a step toward proving that the defeats of the past no longer defined her. Now, Ruse was next on her list. Much had changed since that 2024 US Open loss. Eala had climbed to a career-high number 20 in the world, while Ruse currently sat at number 77. Eala entered the tournament with renewed confidence after a brief respite following a grueling 2-week stretch. She had captured her breakthrough WTA Tour singles title at the Mubadala DC Open in Washington, D.C., where she overpowered the very players that once beat her. The Cincinnati Open was the third stop of Eala's North American swing, following her title run at the Washington Open and her fourth-round campaign at the Canadian Open. It was her final major tune-up before the US Open, where she hoped to make a deep run. But first, she had to get past Ruse. The Romanian was no pushover. At 28 years old, she was a seasoned veteran who had reached the semifinals of 2 WTA 500 events earlier in the year. She had beaten Eala before, and she knew exactly how to frustrate the Filipina's game. But Eala was not the same player she had been in 2024. She was stronger, faster, and mentally tougher. She had improved her serve, developed a devastating forehand, and learned how to close out matches against top-ranked opponents. "I think that I was playing well," Eala would later say. "I think I felt the ball good, was really focused, and tried to keep myself in the zone." With the first round bye under her belt as the 17th seed, her highest seeding on the tour so far, Eala was rested and ready. The crowd was behind her. The nation was watching, and the revenge tour was about to continue. The atmosphere inside the Tony Trabert Stadium 3 at the Lindner Family Tennis Center was electric. The stands were filled with Filipino fans who had traveled from across the United States to support their heroine. Now, they were about to witness something special. Eala walked onto the court with the confidence of a champion. She knew what was at stake. She knew what this match meant, not just for her ranking, but for her legacy. But the start was shaky. Ruse drew first blood early, snagging a break in the opening game to take a 1-0 edge. For a moment, it seemed like the ghost of 2024 might return. Then, Eala flipped the switch. She locked in her baseline rhythm, firing 4 straight games to surge ahead 4-1. Her left-handed forehand was devastating. Her aggressive returning pushed Ruse behind the baseline, leaving the Romanian scrambling. Eala quickly dispelled any notion that Ruse posed a serious threat. The statistics were staggering. Eala won 71% of the points played on Ruse's first serve and 78% on the Romanian's second delivery. She fired 9 winners against Ruse's 7 while forcing her opponent into 11 errors. She dropped serve only once in the opening game and then refused to lose another game for the remainder of the match. Eala blanked Ruse for the rest of the set to take the opener 6-1. The Filipina maintained her level in the second set, breaking Ruse twice to build a 3-0 advantage. The world know 77 Romanian, who had reached the semifinals of 2 WTA 500 events earlier in the year, was being simply overpowered. "I think I felt the ball good," Eala would later say. "I was really focused and tried to keep myself in the zone." But then, the interruption. Ruse called for a trainer after falling behind 3-0 and received treatment around her right foot. She had her left ankle retaped. The precise nature and severity of the issue were not immediately disclosed. Play briefly resumed before organizers suspended the match after lightning was detected in the area. Eala was preparing to serve when officials stopped play and instructed spectators to seek shelter. The Cincinnati Open announced the suspension. "Play has been suspended due to inclement weather approaching. Please seek shelter." Eala and Ruse left the court. The crowd dispersed. The stadium fell silent. and the waiting began. Hours passed. The storm moved on. The skies cleared. But the match did not resume. Fans who had traveled from across the United States to watch Eala play were left in limbo. What was taking so long? The initial reports suggested that the stoppage involved lightning, and players could not return until tournament officials determined conditions were safe. But the lightning had passed. The conditions were safe. Other matches had resumed. So why not Eala versus Ruse? The silence from tournament officials was deafening. No firm resumption time had been announced. No explanation was given. And then the news came. Ruse had retired. The Cincinnati Open initially announced that matches would resume no earlier than 1:30 p.m., but Ruse withdrew before the players returned to the court. The Romanian, who had called for a medical timeout just before the lightning suspension due to an apparent foot injury, begged off. The match ended in anticlimactic fashion. Eala thus advanced to the third round via retirement, her Cincinnati debut ending with a 6-1, 3-0 walkover victory. But it was Ruse's reaction that stunned everyone. The camera zoomed in on the Romanian's face as she made the decision. There was no anger, no bitterness, no frustration, just acceptance. And something else, something unexpected. In the moments that followed, Ruse walked over to the net, not to shake hands, as the match had officially ended, but to acknowledge her opponent. Her gesture was subtle but unmistakable. A nod, a wave, a silent acknowledgement of Eala's dominance. It was a moment of grace that no one saw coming. The crowd, which had been prepared to erupt in celebration, paused. They had seen Eala's victory coming. They had anticipated the revenge, but they had not expected this. An opponent who, despite the pain and the disappointment, showed class in defeat. Ruse's reaction stunned fans. After the match, Eala was asked about the controversial finish. She smiled, her eyes filled with emotion. "I think that I was playing well," she said. "I think I felt the ball good, was really focused, and tried to keep myself in the zone. I think I did a good job of that." But then she paused. Her expression turned serious. And what she said next revealed the kind of champion she truly is. "Of course, nobody likes to finish a match with a retirement," Eala said. "First and foremost, I just want to wish Gabriela Ruse a speedy recovery. Injuries aren't fun, so I hope she recovers soon." The words hung in the air like a benediction. Eala had just defeated the woman who had broken her heart 2 years ago. She had every right to celebrate, every right to gloat, every right to feel vindicated. Instead, she chose grace. The moment was not lost on the fans. They had come to see revenge. They had come to see victory. But what they witnessed was something far more powerful. A young woman who understood that tennis is more than just winning and losing. It is about respect. It is about sportsmanship. It is about recognizing the humanity in your opponent, even in the heat of competition. Eala's victory extended her revenge tour to 7 consecutive opponents who had previously defeated her. She improved to 8-1 during the North American hardcourt swing. She had won 8 of her past 9 matches. She had advanced to the third round of the Cincinnati Open, where she would face world number 9 seed Amanda Anisimova. But for Eala, the numbers were secondary. What mattered was the journey. What mattered was the growth. What mattered was the person she had become. I do think that my days have gone a little more packed with the commitments and spending time with you guys, but obviously in a very good way, and I'm enjoying it a lot, Eala said about her run over the past few weeks. "I think it's a good sign, and it's helping me become, I guess, a stronger player and be more kind of established on tour." The Cincinnati Open marked her third stop in the North American hardcourt swing after a decent round of 16 run in Toronto and a breakthrough WTA 500 title run in Washington. She had earned $47,375 for reaching the round of 32. And she had done it all while never losing sight of what truly matters. "Maraming salamat sa mga kababayan natin sa lahat ng ginawa niyo mula sa Washington hanggang Toronto at sa lahat ng gagawin niyo pa. Para ti kayong sumusuporta at nagdadasal, para ti kayong nagupuupuyat kaya tuloy-tuloy lang akong magtatrabaho para sa inyo." The crowd went absolutely mad. Alexandra Eala had not just won a match. She had proven that she was a champion on and off the court. She had exorcised the ghost of 2024. She had extended her revenge tour, and she had done it all with the grace and humility that defines true greatness. And Ruse? The woman who had been defeated, the woman who had retired in pain, the woman who had every reason to be bitter. She had shown the world that even in defeat, there can be class. Nobody expected Ruse's reaction. Nobody expected the grace. Nobody expected the moment of humanity that transcended the sport. But that is exactly what made it so powerful. From the cracked courts of Quezon City, where tennis was a luxury, to the center courts of Cincinnati, where she has broken every ticket record in tournament history, Alexandra Eala has proven that champions don't just win matches, they move mountains. From the cracked courts of Quezon City to the center courts of Cincinnati, where she has broken every ticket record in tournament history, Alexandra Eala has proven that champions don't just win matches, they move mountains. And when Ruse retired, when a match ended in anticlimax, when the cameras zoomed in on the Romanian's face, nobody expected her reaction. But it reminded the world that even in defeat, grace can prevail. Alex Eala had her revenge. Ruse had her injury. And the fans had a moment they would never forget.